Hey guys, it's Bradley. I'm back. If it's your first time here, I do lots of brewing related videos. Most of my videos do focus on brew tools, but I do other stuff just like this one today. So today's video, I'm going to compare the Blichmann Spunding valve and the SS Brewtech Spunding valve. Kind of go over the pros and cons of both and let you guys make the decision for yourself. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's get up close and personal and see how these two valves stack up. All right, so here we are up close and personal with the two valves. Here is the SS Brewtech Spunding valve and the Blichmann with the B. So first thing to notice, the SS Brewtech valve is definitely has a fancier look to it, at least in my opinion. It's a little more kind of that bling factor going on here than the Blichmann valve. So first thing to notice, this valve has to be mounted upright, right? Because you're going to put star sand in here, not too full, because if it's too full, it's going to kind of, you get an active fermentation. It's going to bubble over if you get too much at all. So in my experience in this valve, it leaks past this O-ring and just makes kind of a star sand dried mess. Not the end of the world, but something to consider. So it's got to be mounted so nothing falls out. Simple as that. The SS Brewtech valve also has kind of it has indications here on the pressure that you could be adjusting to as you screw it in or out, trying to dial in that perfect pressure for you. It's in bar. It has a chart that says what equals what. Personally, I didn't find that useful. I don't really think in terms of bar. I know some of you might, and if so, perfect, because it's going to make sense to you. I just looked at the other pressure gauge I had on the tank and adjusted it off of that. I found it very easy to adjust. It held pressure perfectly, no issues. It comes apart, you know, super easy. Some lube on here, and you're good to go. There's threads here. This guy unscrews, and there's a spring and whatnot inside that keeps tension on this seal. The seal in the bottom here is large, so that is a good thing. One other thing to note, if you have this pretty loose, not under a ton of pressure, and you touch this even in the slightest or disturb this, it's going to let CO2 out of your fermenter, and there's going to be a star sand mess. It'll scare the hell out of you, I promise. Ask me how I know. So next up is the Blichmann. The Blichmann is a much simpler design, but it also, you get a little bit more here with the Blichmann. You get a gauge, a nice Blichmann branded gauge. I found it to be accurate. Based on my CO2 regulator, I use tap-right regulators in all my stuff. Thank you, Simi Valley Homebrew. And then the SS gauge on the unit tank. So this one you also get a gas post. Super useful. Say you don't want to use the carb stone, or say, whatever reason, you can add gas in right through here. I find that to be very useful. The other thing, this guy can get mounted anyway. I have it on a T just so, it kind of looks better here on camera, but you can mount it, like this, right? On top of a T. In any way you want. You could mount it like this. I'm not sure why you'd want to, but you could. You could mount it like this. However, obviously like this makes the most sense, but you're not kind of boxed into a certain kind of way to mount the valve, which is very nice. It's got these this nice hose barb here. It accepts 1/2-inch silicone. These barbs are just super aggressive and super beautiful. Truthfully, they remind me of the Brew Tools barbs, and that kind of makes me feel good, to be honest. Other thing to note, to adjust this guy, it's the same thing. You screw it out to relieve pressure. You screw it in for more pressure. I found it really easy to dial in the exact pressure I wanted when I was fermenting, no trouble at all. That's more or less kind of the gist of these two Spunding valves, their operation, their similarities, what separates them. I will say that this guy seems to use O-rings that I know I can easily find anywhere I want. The Blichmann, there's an O-ring inside of the pressure gauge here. That one you can definitely get anywhere. There's an O-ring, real quick and unscrew here. O-ring inside of here. You want to lube that. There's this piece I found on Blichmann's website this little seat for the spring. But this upper seal O-ring thing, I did not see for sale. So maybe that's not a wear item, maybe it can't fail. But yeah, I'm not sure. I reached out to Blichmann, I didn't hear back. And you just screw it back together. And that is it. So let's go back for my final thoughts. All right, so we've seen the two valves up close and personal. We've talked about some pros and cons of the two valves. My personal opinion is that both valves work great. They're kind of different approaches to the same solution. The big takeaway here is this valve, just the valve, not without any additional tri-clamps or gaskets or fittings so you can mount it, is about $160. This valve is about $175. I actually bought this one for around for around $60, $65 shipped to my house here in California. I've not seen a deal on the SS Brewtech one that I could think of in recent memory. So that is, at the end of the game, it comes down to cash. Cash is king. Do you want to spend, say, $75 or $160 plus to get started? Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. I hope you guys found this video useful. If so, why not like and subscribe? Remember, as always, this has been Bradley, and homebrewing is good. I'll see you in the next one.